Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabai.
Good morning, Ruben.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, that was a Malabres you had a short while ago. Better. Woman leader of the APC. Well, distinguishing herself, as it were. Now, we'll start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. I start from the window story on Nikon. It's senseless to swear in 2023 winners of polls with pending court cases. Calls for review of Nigerian electoral system. Yes, it seems senseless, but that is how it is. The likes of senior advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Agbakoba, had argued that it is possible to end election cases before swearing in. But clearly, the situation we have in our hands is that the swearing in of the president-elect will take place on May 29, while the challenge of the election that gave him victory is still on at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Perhaps going forward, the laws of Nigeria need to be amended to reflect this concern, because if Kenya can do it, why can't Nigeria? Yes, the lawyers have their way, because when you line up 50 senior advocates of Nigeria on one side of the legal divide, and half of that number challenging, then perhaps it will take longer than necessary. But if the law says these cases must be concluded before swearing in, I'm sure everybody will adjust accordingly. Lawyers on both sides as well as the judges. But this is what we have now. We have to live with the reality that we'll have a president on May 29 whose election is still being challenged by those who were declared losers. Now, the lead story, Tinubu vows to make corruption unattractive, says unity of country not negotiable. There can only be one president at a time. I cannot commit to expenditures, pledges to fulfill, or political promises. Well, at times like this, it's easy to make commitment to the fight against corruption. Of course, it was one of the top priorities of President Muhammadu Buhari to fight corruption to a standstill. One of these three-pronged agenda, the others being security and revamping the economy. Now, Tinubu is putting the fight against corruption in the front burner, and I'm sure many will say this must be a very welcome development. Now, the other story just above the masses, below the masthead, in alliance with Jibrin, Akpabio gets momentum. Over 65 senators sign support. Oshomole waits in the wings, relies on constitution. Kalu, still in race, insists Southeast deserves it. Yes, shaping up the battle for who will become the next Senate president. Akpabio gathering steam and momentum, getting support left, right, and center. Of course, other reports even say that he's the pick of the party for that position. But it's still a long way. June 13 is the date when the National Assembly will convene for the 10th session. But we'll see how that battle goes on. Now, other newspapers, Daily Independent newspaper, How I Will Tackle Corruption in Judiciary by Tinubu, explain why he said, I owe Wike nothing. Now, the Punch newspaper, May 29, again, military warns saboteurs, go on, cancel petitioners, threats to new president's inauguration will be promptly dealt with, says Defense Headquarters. Keyamo knocks on Naikon for saying Tinubu shouldn't be sworn in before tribunal verdict. Now, the Defense Ministry coming out to make pronouncement. Well, is there anything they know, intelligence they have that the rest of us don't know about? But the appeal, clearly everybody wants democracy to thrive in this country. May 29, the president-elect has to be sworn in, barring any court judgment, and which perhaps we don't expect any judgment to be delivered before that day. But anybody who is thinking otherwise, disrupting the democratic process, must have a rethink. And the military, the defense headquarters, coming out to issue that warning. Now, the New Telegraph, Onoikon swearing in Tinubu before tribunal delivers verdict makes no sense. He insists. Now, the leadership newspaper, Leadership Friday, they called that one, 24 days to go. Northern Youths alleged plot to stop Tinubu's inauguration. Finger, Labour, IPOB, petition, IGP, DSS, demand Ajero's arrest is cheap blackmail, NLC president replies. Well, motley groups coming out to make all kinds of allegations. Well, they have to just, the security agencies.
I think somebody has to take those groups up on this allegation one day and take them to court to prove it.
Yes, just sit down.
Because all of this need to stop. You don't have empirical fact, you make allegation. You should take them up and test it in court.
It's not enough. It's not enough to just write a letter to
yes,
the
now.
DSS from.
When people take them up and
from
tell them
corner.
to give them evidential, situation on the matter.
Now, the Nation newspaper outburst on inauguration on Icon comes under fire. Yes, comes under fire. That's what the Nation newspaper is reporting. Senior lawyers knock cleric for questioning president-elect swearing in. But I think he's just expressing his concern. That's the way I will see it. Yes, because clearly there's nothing he can do about it. The law does not stop the president-elect from being sworn in when there's still a challenge. So that's what we have. Yes, people can express concern about the untidiness of that arrangement, which we have to amend going forward. If all stakeholders put their acts together, lawyers, legislators, that look, let's try and remedy this kind of situation. In future, it can be done. But for now, that is what we have. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, returning students recount ordeal in Sudan, Egypt. We thought we'll die, they declare. Federal government promises 100,000 naira each to evacuees, while the Vanguard newspaper reporting the return of the evacuees from Sudan, escaped from Sudan. With gunfire all over, we thought we'd never see home again. Returnees tell tales of woes. Daily Trust newspaper, may Nigeria never experience war. Sudan returnees pray. Yes, we slept in the open for 8 days. About 3,000 Nigerians still stranded. More aircraft needed for evacuation. Federal government. Now, truly, we should know, those who like to beat the drums of war, when war happens, it doesn't know those who are for war or not for war. Everybody will have to take cover. And this is what these returnees are reminding Nigerians that, look, we should never pray for war because the situation is one that dislocates nation and citizens alike. Now, the Guardian newspaper, over $4 billion spent on overseas education in 8 years amid poor funding, neglect of public schools. Yes, I hope that figure includes the amount spent by Nigerians sending their children to Sudan for higher education also. Yes, it's the situation we have on our hands. Let's put more money in the education sector so that as it was in the past, when some of us were in the university, where people were coming from other countries, we had foreign students. There was fee for foreign students, Ruben, you remember? Yeah. And fees for Nigerians when we were in the universities. I don't know how many foreign students come to our universities these days. We had classmates who were foreigners, but now everybody want to take their children to universities outside the country, even if it is Togo or Benin Republic. I'm schooling abroad. Now, the foreign newspapers, quickly. Now, we just take two. Coronation. Tomorrow is Coronation Day. The day King Charles III will be crowned King of the United Kingdom. Now, the Daily Telegraph is reporting coronation anthem is made for churches. Yes, King wanted composition to be hummable and stand the test of time, says Lord Lloyd Webber, the composer of the anthem for the coronation. Make a joyful noise. That's the title of the coronation anthem, which the king wants to be sung in churches across the UK. Of course, it's drawn from Psalm 98, the words from Psalm 98 in the scriptures. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. And of course, on the day the king is being crowned in UK, of course, the people will make a joyful noise, thanking God for giving them a new king after the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. But there are other sides to the coronation. The Daily Mail is reporting China's coronation insult to Britain. Of course, the excitement may just be dented by the arrival of Chinese Vice President who will be attending VP Han Zhang. Yes, he was the one who crushed the pro-democracy riot or protest in Hong Kong, and the British are not happy about that. That he is the one who is going to grace the occasion on behalf of the Chinese government and people. Ruben, Rufai, and I.
Okay. Dr. Bafi, go ahead.
There's no doubt tomorrow that, the British, they are going to have, to quote the Dean of Westminster Abbey, a jaw-dropping event, as he describes it. But it's also a major security operation, the largest that the British have seen in 70 years. The last time there was a coronation was in 1953. Tomorrow already, as we have seen from indications, it's going to be a combination of culture, of history, and a very wide scope of symbolism. The king says, yes, he's aware of the burden that is ahead of him, but he's prepared. The Dean of Westminster Abbey tells us that all the preparations have been done, the rehearsals, as he called it. But you are right, the political side of it, China sending the vice president and Lord Patton complaining that, look, it should be Xi Jinping himself that should be there. And then also, this has brought up issues about republicanism. The Australians are now saying, in the context of this coronation, because it's not just King of England, he's also King of Australia and also King of Canada and some other dominions that are still under the British sovereignty. So those issues are there. But on the ground there are anti-monarchists, the Republic, a group called the Republic, who have been causing, making some noise, as we say in Nigeria. But it's a major security operation because they are deploying 11,000 security people, lining the streets, checking everywhere, including security gadgets to monitor people's faces. So when you raise the question, therefore, about the planned inauguration in Nigeria for May 29, and people say, people are planning to disrupt the operation. Well, it's also a security operation here in Nigeria. So the inauguration of the president of Nigeria is also similarly a security operation. And it's for the security operatives in Nigeria, the various agencies, to know that this is a serious matter. And as for those who are telling John Cardinal Nayeka that he should not talk about politics, they don't know what they are talking about. Cardinal Nayeka is 80. If they check his history, they will know that he has been one of the most outspoken clerics in Nigeria in the 21st century. So it's not because he's in retirement. He's always spoken his mind. And to say that he should not dabble into politics, then of course, that's very strange. The people saying that, they are speaking clearly out of ignorance. And apart from being a priest, he's first and foremost a citizen. And he has the right under the Constitution to express his own views. And the view that he has expressed is a view that has been expressed by many others.
Canvassed by so many.
Thank you so much, Mr. Efeni, for taking us through the newspaper headlines this morning.